Hare Krsna, Hare Krsna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Mridangaya Namo Namaha, Jai Guranga, Jai Nishingare, Hare Krishna. We're going to look today at some preliminary finger practice to kind of get your fingers moving, opening up the hands and learning some special patterns that will follow on the top end. Most people don't know how to play Tereketes in double speed with their fingers and how to play constantly on the top end where you're playing all four, 1, 2, 3, 4 times each time on the top of the mridanga. You know, most people just know how to play something like that, or they'll know a little like where there's 3 hits. So we're going to start practicing these so that you can become proficient. There's so many different things that you can do on the top end. We'll start opening up the hand to that. We're going to have some kind of complex nak and a reverse of a nak. K-tini nak, which is the reverse. Instead of starting on a nak, you're reversing your hand and then doing both patterns in the same mantra as well. Trying to open up the hand for naks and dhinis and different things like that. So we'll start with these two and then start into the naks. Summertime again here. Get hot. Get this fan on me. All right. So here we have the first pattern is Deregete, dada, Terekete, tata. So we know Deregete and Terekete, but now we're going to be playing these with our fingers. And the genius of this is the way when you practice Terekete, right? Deregete, and then that te flows in. Deregete, tata. It flows always into the ta. So it's really good in mridanga to learn these patterns because you can play Terekete in double speed and always get back onto these tas in your top end here. So here we have Deregete. I gotta change that to te. Deregete and Terekete. Deregete, and then you'll see da space, da space. Deregete da da. Deregete da. Deregete da da. This seems kind of rudimentary now, but you'll see how this comes together. Deregete da da. Terekete ta ta. Deregete da da. Terekete da da. Deregete da da. Deregete da da. Deregete da. Now here, remember to keep your fingers curved. Remember to move from the wrist rather than from the fingers. Remember to keep all your hits soft and closed unless they're an open hit. We don't want to have opens where they shouldn't be. You don't want to have really bad, harsh slapping sound and stuff like that. Deregete. It should all be very nice and soft. The softer that you play, the more power that you'll have as well, especially to accentuate the open hits. Deregete da da. Deregete da da. Deregete da da. Deregete da da. Deregete da da, deregete da da. See how the wrist is moving, not the fingers? Deregete da da. See the wrist? Moving from here. So then this becomes proficient in your speed and technique. It starts to open up this pattern on your top end, and then we'll start to teach kirtan mantras so that the bottom and the guru and the lagu kind of match nicely. This is just a simple pattern of guru and lagu. Deregete da da, deregete da da. So during your kirtan, your hand can be playing like that the whole time, and you're not playing Deregete dada, you're playing something differently, and it sounds very beautiful. And all of a sudden, you've got this pattern on the top end rather than this kind of simplistic stuff that people play. Now you're opening up into a little bit more of a pleasing kind of pattern, pleasing sound, a little bit more advanced for Krishna to listen to as well. So just kind of coming into that next level of mridanga and showing how all of the hand practices and everything that I've been given facilitates this types of playing as well. And if you really do practice it, your hand will eventually come into position. And it can take a week, or it can take 10 years or a lifetime. Depends who you are, how much time you spend on this stuff. But it will. I guarantee you, with enough effort, it will happen, and you will be able to play these types of mantras, Deregete, dada. Deregete, dada. Deregete, dada. Deregete, dada. Deregete. So how do you chant with this? The same. It's just a 4/4 pattern here. That's Pahira taal. Hare Krsna. Hare Krsna, Krsna Krsna, Hare Hare. Now in double speed. Hare Rama. Hare Krsna. So there we played Prabhupada beat. Excuse me. There we played Prabhupada beat. And then the second part, instead of the kineda, we're playing Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, da. Deregete, da. Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada. Then we played a D high there as well. Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, deya. Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, deya. Deregete, dada, Deregete, dada, da. So there's so much. There's endless. It's honestly endless. Every single mantra that I give can be made into a Prabhupada beat, into a Deregete Takadena style, into different D highs, and then segue into different Kirtan mantras and stuff like that. If you really put the effort in to learn it all, and I haven't even, because I'm literally teaching myself as I teach you guys, so that later on I can review all this and actually start to form all of my own, mridanga styles and techniques and stuff like that. But the thing is, in bhakti, you just always want to be moving forward, always want to be learning, always want to be progressing. So it doesn't matter where you are, if every day you're striving to learn something new, then you're bettering yourself, you're bettering your spiritual practice, and you're ultimately going to become more and more enthusiastic and more happy. And there's no loss of diminution, and even if you stop playing mridanga for 100 years or 100 lifetimes, the moment that you chant Hare Krishna and come back to it, it's all there. There's no loss of diminution. So it doesn't matter what maya you're into or what you're doing. You don't have to worry about losing these skills. They aren't material skills, and it's very different from a lot of things that materialists kind of work on. The working principle is that if you use it, you lose it. And that's very true for a lot of things. But spiritual knowledge is always with you. It's always part of your identity as a jiva and as a living soul and entity. And the Paramatma never lets you forget that spiritual knowledge that you've pushed forward with. So every little bit that you learn, it's always there for you. It's always going to be there. The moment that you take your practice up seriously again, boom, it's going to be right there. So you don't have to worry about, if you take time off or if you're not interested now. It's always going to be there for you. And that's something that you can always count on in life as well, is that no matter what's happening around you, if you decide to turn your face to Krishna, even for that moment or that day or that week, that you have all of that spiritual practice already there that you've been working on. And there's no difference. It's like just turning on a light switch. Boom, you chant your 16 rounds. Okay, we're ready to go, You don't have to worry about all the stuff that happened before. So with Mridanga too, you have to turn your mind off and just practice this stuff, not knowing where you're going to end up, where it's going, why you're practicing your hand practices and stuff like that. And eventually you just start building up that spiritual, knowledge that allows you to access more and more Mridanga. So we have Deregete. I want to go over this once more. Deregete dada. Deregete dada. Deregete dada. Deregete dada. See how you rotate the wrist? Deregete dada. And see how my fingers are kind of curled like this when I'm playing? If I straighten them, hear that slappy sound? It starts to slap. You need to curl and have those pads soft. Very different. Hare Krsna, Hare Krsna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. So that's the first one. Next mantra. Tini, so now we're reversing it. So before we're going Tere, right? Now we're going Tini. So many different ways of using your hand. Tini, Tinitatha. And then this is a ta with the lagu K closed. Tinitatha. Now that's all normal speed. If you double speed, then it becomes single speed or double speed. There's no difference. The second part has a Terekete and tata. But here we have Terekete tata. So you have Terekete is in double speed. So if you're playing double speed, you're actually playing quadruple speed. So this previous mantra that I was showing, Deregete dada, Deregete tata, when it actually comes into double speed, the Deregete Deregete dada, Deregete dada, Deregete dada, Deregete dada. So the Deregete becomes a quadruple speed mantra. So you have to practice those hand practices that I was given before for your fingers, like Terekete taka, Terekete taka, right? To build up this finger speed so that you can play these in quadruple speed when you're playing in Kirtan there. So Tinitatha, Tinitatha. Tinitatha, Terekete, double speed, Terekete tata, Tinitatha, 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 Terekete tata. Tinitatha, Terekete, Tinitatha, Terekete, Tinitatha, Terekete tata, Tinitatha. So you hit the bottom end twice there on the ta and the k. Everything else is top end. So it sounds like this. Tinitatha, Terekete tata, Tinitatha, 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 Terekete tata, Tinitatha, Tinitatha. So let's look at that slowly. Tinitatha, Terekete, tata, Tinitatha, Tinitatha. Rotate that wrist. Tinitatha. Slower. Faster. And again, chanting's the same with it. Hare Krsna, Hare Krsna, Krsna Krsna, Hare Hare. So then we go. Different type of D-high there. Lots of different things that will show. Unlimited. Literally. Unlimited the amount of stuff you can do with Mridanga. Tinitatha, Terekete, tata, Tinitatha, Terekete, tata, Tinitatha, 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 then you can just practice. So we'll just practice that as well. Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata. Hare Krsna, Krsna Krsna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, you can mess around with it as well. Practice switching between double speed, single speed, stuff like that. So just to recap this before we move on. So we've got the Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, and then the Tinitatha, Deregete, tata, Tinitatha, Tinitatha, Tinitatha. Right? So how does this sound together? So we got Tinitatha, 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 Deregete, Tinitatha, Tinitatha, Tinitatha. Yeah, cool mantra as well. Like that kind of works, and it's pretty epic on its own if you combine it. So try combining it as well. Got that nice transition from the ta into the thini as well to kind of teach you that as well. Really beautiful. So once more, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Tinitatha, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Tinitatha, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Tinitatha, and then Tinitatha, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata. You can just practice that. Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Deregete, tata, Tinitatha, 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 Tinitatha. Practice that one as well on its own. Tinitatha, Tinitatha, Tinitatha. I'll practice that one as well. Those are done. All right. Nux. Here we go. Let's do this one here, easy. Knock. Right? We've already taught knock. You don't know how to play it? Go back and watch one of the videos that teaches it. Nak-dhini. Nak-dhini, dhini, dhini. So we've got nak-dhini, dhini, dhini. Nak-dhini, dhini, dhini. Nak-dhini, 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 dhini, dhini, dhini. So this is the pattern. Nak, then 3 dhinis. Nak-dhini, dhini, dhini. Nak-dhini, 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 dhini, dhini, nak-dhini, dhini, dhini, nak-dhini, 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 dhini, dhini. Nak. So you want to get to the point where you really kind of feel this mantra. This one's quite easy to follow in the pattern. It has a natural kind of flow. It's not too difficult. You don't really need to memorize it. You can get the feeling of it. Knock. So you want to knock. Dini, 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 knock. Dini, knock. Dini, knock. Dini, knock. Dini, knock. Dini, 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 knock. Dini, dini, dini. Be aggressive. Knock, 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 dini, knock, dini, dini, dini. You want to be really aggressive with the knock, because eventually, like, any aggression that you have, in your kirtan or just in life in general, you can really take out on your knocks, and it doesn't necessarily come across as anything but beautiful in kirtan, because the knock really needs to be strong and crisp, and it's a very emphatic statement in your kirtan. If you've got a weak knock, if it doesn't make that nice crisp sound, if you don't have a good mridanga, it's not tuned, if your technique's off, then it really just doesn't sound very good, and like I wouldn't even advise really playing a knock. It's better off playing a ta. But when you really kind of master the knock, it's such a beautiful, probably the most beautiful sound that you can make in the mridanga, and the most pleasing in my opinion. And even if you're playing bhajan style and you're playing very quiet, you really got to still crack the knocks, even though everything else is quiet. The knocks are, it's a very pleasing sound, and at least to me, I don't know how other people feel about it, but it's something that can be played loudly and crisply without disturbing the kirtan, if that makes any sense. So nak-dhini, dhini, dhini, nak-dhini, 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 dhini, dhini, nak-dhini, dhini, dhini, nak-dhini, 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 dhini, dhini. Nak. So you got the start. Nak-dhini, dhini, 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 nak-dhini, nak-dhini, dhini, dhini, nak-dhini, dhini, dhini. So I want you to practice just with your hands as well, or just on your top hand for a while. Then start to practice with the bottom hand. Nak, dini, 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 nak, dini, nak, dini, nak, dini, nak, dini, nak, dini, dini. Hare Krsna, Hare Krsna, Krsna Krsna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, So yeah, that one's a really good one. Not a lot to explain there. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just have to figure out the pattern, work on your knocks, and become very proficient at that technique, especially the nak-dhini, because this comes into play. You play this a lot in kirtans, you know. So there's lots of knocks and dhinis and stuff like that you can play. So definitely practice that a lot and become proficient at that. 26 minutes. All right. Well, that's enough for today. And we'll look at the two nak-dhini and then the nak-dhini, naks next time. And yeah, keep practicing. Hare Krishna.